Welcome to your Beaufort County News Headlines. I'm Matt Golden, and here are today's top stories. A monster alligator named Fred, after the star of the old TV sitcom The Munsters, is a celebrity himself at a golf course on Parris Island, home of one of the toughest military training bases in the country. The big gator throws his weight around and rules with an iron jaw. At the age of 40-something, the gator has attained revered status at the Legends at Parris Island Golf Course. Golfers always give him ample room, giving up their ball if it's in his vicinity, and marveling as he swaggers across the green or fairway, dragging a tail the size of a log with his jowly, massive head swaying right to left. "He's a big old boy," says Morgan Hart, alligator project leader of South Carolina DNR, when shown photos. Without verification, Hart can only guess Fred is at least 12 feet long and weighs around 600 pounds. That makes him a very large male, but not a record breaker. This would be a dominant male, Hart says of Fred. The territory he controls, he's sort of in charge of it. He's probably got multiple females he visits. Patrick Turso, who's been watching Fred in action for years, suspects Fred is even bigger, but he's smart enough to not attempt a measurement. He's witnessed Fred gobble down a raccoon in a single bite. Fred's tail, Turso notes, is longer than his wife, who stands at 5'5". Turso, a native New Yorker who now lives in Beaufort, takes credit for naming the impressive alligator after seeing it for the first time while golfing in 2015. "I said, look at the size of that gator," recalls Turso, who watched the brute grab a 6-foot gator in his jaws. "Alligators have a stronger bite force than a lion, and fling it 3 feet into the air." Turso snapped a picture and put it on Facebook and named the giant after the biggest man he had ever met, Fred Gwynne, who starred as the jovial giant Herman Munster in The Munsters, the 1960s TV sitcom about a family of wacky but friendly monsters. A retired daffodil farm could soon be replaced by hundreds of homes. As Beaufort population grows, so does the push for development. Cane Island was always the crown jewel, if you will, of the family properties. It's the place where everybody shot their first deer, shot their first duck, and where you just enjoy walking into the woods, and it's just kind of a special place, said John Trask, grandson of the original Daffodil Farms owners who bought the land in the 60s. Its specialty has remained as it's the last sea island in Beaufort to remain untouched. The only thing left now are the leftover daffodils that still peak from what was once a thriving daffodil farm owned by the Trask family. Eventually, the farm would hang up its shears and sell the property off to developers. When my grandfather died 20 years ago, the farm and island, some of the other properties were sold for estate reasons, said Trask. A gentleman from Spartanburg, South Carolina bought it and subsequently sold it to the group that has it now. The developers who bought it still own it now, grandfathering them into the newly announced plans developed without public input. Beaufort city officials said in a statement the approved development on Cane Island is governed by a long-standing planned unit development and development agreement between the property owners and the city established decades ago. These agreements define the development's density and standards, taking legal precedence over current city zoning regulations, density limits, and review process. As a result, these projects have vested right to proceed as outlined in the agreements and are not subject to public review. In the rapidly developing town of Bluffton, a first-of-its-kind local ordinance aims to further protect wetlands and fill a regulatory void left by the state and federal government. The new rule, which passed on March 11th at a town council meeting, established a larger buffer around wetlands and newfound authority to enforce violations. Wetlands provide the low country with flood control and critical habitat for a wide range of aquatic species. In a watershed that's lost over 500 acres of wetlands in the last 20 years, town staff say the new ordinance adds a layer of protection beyond the limit capacity of state and federal agencies. The new ordinance requires a 50-foot buffer between wetlands with town limits and any proposed structures. The ordinance also allows citizens to report possible infractions and gives town staff the authority to enforce violations. The state and federal government have their own rules and regulations related to building on the near wetlands, but having the extra layer of protection and enforcement at the local level allows town staff to respond quickly when the agencies are backlogged. Andrea Marino, a program manager in Bluffton's Watershed Management Division, said these wetland protection ordinances will be implemented in phases. A 25-foot buffer ordinance passed by the town council in June 2024. That version of the ordinance ended up only applying to a small section of the town. For more information on any of these stories, please visit the sources on the screen, and as always, you can head to BeaufortCountySC.gov, where you can find press releases straight from Beaufort County. Thanks for tuning in to your Beaufort County News Headlines. Have a great day and a safe weekend, Beaufort County.